Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Coal Country Podcast, where we discuss everything WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre. Joining me on the show once again, Tyler Cobb, Matt Howe, Max Remy. Gentlemen, how we feeling?
I'm very happy to be here, as always. How are you guys?
I don't know how to describe my emotions at the moment. I honestly don't. How about you, Tyler?
I think I'll go with him. I don't know. It's been a weird day.
It has been a weird day, weird week ever since Saturday. How you, Jit?
Stressed, but I'm doing good.
Fair enough, man.
Valid.
all the stuff we got going on outside of the podcast and sports still be hitting hard.
Some busy times.
Yeah, we're getting into the grind of the season. Just like the football team, just in the wrong way. So
much to talk about.
Oh, man. So this episode's just going to be slightly unscripted. We know what we want to talk about, but we figured it would be more authentic if we brought it to you like this. Let's go ahead and talk about the Kansas State game.
A game it was not.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I don't think I want to.
Well, it was disappointing to say the least.
I think it was more than disappointing.
Yeah, so
That was the worst game I've ever attended.
oh my God, you're putting it there? I mean,
Maybe.
Understandable.
At least off the top of my head.
Anyway, if you guys watched last week's podcast, most of us, besides Matt, and I think he was the only one that didn't pick Kansas State, and we were right on that, but not in the manner that we thought we were going to be right. It seems like a thing of the season where we go into a matchup and we think, okay, we're probably going to lose, but if we put on a good showing, we're going to leave happy at least, you know?
We did the opposite of a good showing.
Yeah, like against Penn State, we think, man, we have a pretty good shot at winning this, but if we don't win, okay, it's not a big deal. We go in and get destroyed.
It was terrible.
Against Pitt, we were favored. We lost that game. That was the ultimate heartbreaker. I don't care how disappointing this game was.
But at least we were in that game. Like, it's even worse when we're getting beat 45-18.
Yeah, at least for me, though, I feel like the emotions have already suppressed because we're getting blown out. Like in the fourth quarter, if we're down as much as we were.
Well, so this is the analogy that I thought of, right? So you know how when you get in trouble as a kid and your parents, they come up to you and you're like, at first you're like, okay, they're just going to be mad at me. But instead of being mad, they're disappointed, and it's so much worse. I felt like after the Pitt game was just like anger, and now it's just grown into disappointment. Like, what are we even doing, boys?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And then for the Iowa State game, like we thought we were going to win that game. Like legitimately, we thought we were going to win that game. The spread said otherwise. So it was another one of those situations where we were like, if we lose, okay. But we embarrassed ourselves in that game. And then in this game, we expected to sort of get handled, but not the way that we got handled.
I don't know. Yeah.
Can I draw a comparison? When the Great Danes from Albany came down, the score was 49-14, Mountaineers. Kansas State beat us like we beat them. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How sad.
That is ridiculous.
When you think about it like that, it's insane. Let's go ahead and just hit a little bit of the stats here for this game. So, Avery Johnson, quarterback for Kansas State, 19 for 29, 298 yards, basically 300 yards. The best passing game that he's had on the season.
Yeah, I mean, our secondary make him looks like he's Tom Brady out there. Not really, but I'm just saying, like, Avery Johnson has been known as a mid passer at best and through the season, and he goes out and just drops 300 yards, 3 tutties on our secondary, and what are you going to do?
Yeah. We predicted it last week, too, in our keys to the game. We sort of predicted if the secondary plays like they normally are, then Avery Johnson's going to pop off, and he did. And then also, you look at DJ Giddens. DJ Giddens did have 2 touchdowns. But
I'm watching the DJ Giddens touchdown as you're saying it.
DJ Giddens did have a touchdown, but it was 19 carries for 57 yards for the game. You look at that and you think if you can hold DJ Giddens to 57 yards that you're going to win the game.
And Neil even said that in his post game. He was like, our goal going into the game is to stop a backfield that consists of DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards, and then has the legs of Avery Johnson. And for the most part, they did that. But when you're allowing 300 yards through the air through a passer that is not that great of a passer, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah. And then you look at Jaden Jackson, 2 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown, leading receiver for Kansas State. You got other guys. You got DJ Giddens on the receiving end. He had a 53-yard reception. That was his only reception of the game.
That was the one that was probably should have been called a touchdown too.
Right.
And they called him down at the 1.
Then you got Keegan Johnson, Ty Bowman, 46 yards and 27 yards respectively. Still eating on our secondary, man. Again, secondary just did not look great. Now let's move on to the West Virginia stats. You have Garrett Green, man, the quarterback play for us.
It's been bad.
Garrett Green, 9 for 19, 85 yards, a touchdown and 2 interceptions.
And I saw was an interesting video. I don't remember who put it out there, but it was about how quarterbacks regress under Neil Brown. And if you look at it, it wasn't wrong. If you look at Jarrett Dagey, like what he was able to do when he first started versus what he was able to do as the time went on, and then you look at JT Daniels early in the season, he was playing all right in the 2022 season, and then obviously Garrett and Nico kind of replaced him later in the season. And now you look at Garrett. Garrett was playing decent ball last year, and now he can't go through a game without throwing 2 interceptions.
And he threw 4 all last year.
Yeah, 4 interceptions all last year, and he's already doubled it.
He's already at 8.
In 7 games.
I just don't understand it. And also looking here, Garrett Green, the bright spot for Garrett Green was the 11 carries for 89 yards. He had more yards on the ground than he did through the air.
That is not good.
For a quarterback, that's like unheard of.
It's bad. I don't know what has happened, man. I want to blame it all on coaching, but I know it's not. Or maybe it is. Like, we see Garrett try to stay in the pocket more. And I've actually wondered if, like, we know making him a pocket passer is not what he is, but I also think that it has something to do with his height. He can't see the field as good. And because he's 5'9", and he's trying to look over those big offensive linemen, like, you're not going to be able to see the field as well. So when you roll out and you don't have that big line in front of you, that's when you can see the field better. And that's why I think he's really regressed.
Right. I agree. I said it after the Iowa State game that the O-line is just a good 5 inches taller than he is at least. And whenever he was trying to lead on his receivers, like the Cole Taylor interception against Iowa State, how he just led the pass on incorrectly. I don't even think he had that great of a line of vision. He just knew Cole Taylor's route and probably caught a peek at a linebacker and sort of just tried to throw it in the slot.
The second one baffled me. And I've seen a lot that the first interception was not on Garrett, that Traylon Ray should have caught the ball. And while I do agree, like, I feel like every wide receiver coach preaches if you can touch the ball, you should be able to catch the ball. But the ball was high. Like, flat out, the ball was placed high. And I know Garrett's not going to throw darts every time, but Garrett's got to lower that. If he lowers that, that's probably a catch for Traylon Ray, a first down. The second one was like, where are you even looking to? And I said it. I was like, the guy is wide open across the middle on a slant. I don't remember who it was, but there was a guy wide open across the middle on a slant, and he decides to throw into double coverage.
Yep. I guess he was just focusing on the hot route. That's my assumption.
I don't know.
But
it hasn't looked good.
Anyway, looking at Nico, when Nico came in for Garrett, 6 for 13, 58 yards. A touchdown. He didn't throw a pick. So I guess there's that, but
not his best showing either.
No. Definitely talking about Neil Brown's press conference after the game, he did put a little bit of blame on Nico. But in my opinion, you put Nico in a bad situation when it came to that game. He didn't practice at all Tuesday, and he had one work day, like he was saying, on Wednesday. And then you put him in the game for that.
Yeah, I don't know. And Neil and his press conference getting snippy. Mike Asti, thank you for asking a question that is actually difficult for Neil to answer. And all of a sudden, Neil just gets snippy at him. it was, did you see the last two drives of the first half? Like, yeah, we did, but we also saw the 2 interceptions that he threw before then. You threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter. That is terrible.
Yeah, I just don't know what to say when it comes to Neil Brown's press conferences the past couple weeks. They've
It
been
sounds like a guy that is on the hot seat is what it sounds like.
we've been seeing a lot on social media lately. By the time this comes out, y'all will probably know, but there's been a lot of social media coverage on Neil Brown's seat and how hot it is, and a lot of people are saying he's already out. Now, those sources probably aren't the most credible, but I've seen them on my phone a lot. I'm sure you guys have seen them.
There was one I saw earlier, and I won't name drop because I don't know how credible it is, but there was someone that put something on Twitter earlier today, and he is known for working with like ESPN. He's a sports analyst, and he said that he has good information that Neil Brown is basically already out, whether that's the end of the season, middle of the season. Most suspect it's going to be the end of the season.
I would
So
think it would have
we'll
to be
see.
the end of the season.
I don't know, man. If you go into Arizona and lose, you're on a 3-game losing streak. And the reason I say that is because if you fire him after Arizona, say you go to Tucson and lose, and you fire him, you've got a bye week to, work in the new interim head coach, which I think would be Chad Scott. But you have some time. And then if you fire him mid-season instead of the end of the year, if you do end of the year or in the off-season type of thing, we're going to have like another Bob Huggins situation where Bob Huggins like put together a really good team and then all the players left. Whereas if you give, I'm not saying some players still won't transfer out, but if you give Chad Scott some time to like say, hey, if you stay, this is what's going to happen, or maybe he can build team morale back up in the last 5, or it'd be 4 at that point, then maybe some of the players will stay. Because, like, I again, another thing I saw out there was, what are we losing exactly besides a team that is 3-4 right now? Like, I get it. But I don't think that people realize that there is talent on this team that is being used improperly.
Right.
Garrett is talented, but he's not a pocket passer. So I'm not going to use Garrett as the example, but Nico has talent. Jaheim, there are several freshmen. Zay Jennings and Day Farmer, I think if used properly, are going to have a real impact on the team in the future. Traylon Ray is a wide receiver that, if used properly, could have a major impact. It just seems like he's never being used properly. So, I don't know.
It seems like a lot of our receivers fall in that category.
Yeah. Hudson Clement has been the most reliable receiver.
Yeah. He has the most yards for the season on the team. It's like 380 yards.
363.
360. Yeah, so also the injuries. Neil Brown used injuries as sort of a blanket to throw over top of the loss.
Which is just another excuse.
Yeah. Jaheim White, Garrett Green, they were both hurt in the first half. Center, I can never remember his name.
Brandon Yates.
Brandon Yates.
Still throwing some questionable snaps.
Saw a lot of those with Nico in, especially.
And then
that's when I noticed it.
Wyatt Milam came out injured as well. And I
Yes.
think he said all 3 of them are questionable for Saturday.
Yeah. So that doesn't help the case either. But then again, you can't use injuries as an excuse, not after the results you've had the past 6 years. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and Oklahoma State, their whole defense is basically injured, and they stayed in the game with what is BYU ranked now, 11th ranked team in the country. And without a last-second touchdown, could have won the game. So
Yeah.
you can't use injuries as an excuse. That is what it is.
I agree. So, yeah, Kansas State 45, West Virginia 18.
Terrible game.
Not a good look. Let's dive into Neil Brown a little bit more.
I don't want to, especially after last week.
Neil Brown has played 20 games against ranked teams, and he has 3 wins.
3-17.
And the 3, as I discussed last week,
From a couple years back.
were 2021 was the most recent, and they were all against teams who finished the season unranked. I don't remember.
And with a losing
I
record.
don't
right?
remember the exact game,
Maybe not all of them.
but I think Neil Brown has played like 15, or he's like 15 of 26 or something like that against FBS opponents. Man, I can't remember the stat. That's unfortunate because it was one of those weird ones that you're not really able to pull up.
I know he had a losing record. It was like 22 and 26.
Well, it was like 15. Maybe that's what it was. I think that's what it was. It was 22 and 26, and 15 of those 22 wins are against
Teams with
that
5 wins or less.
5 wins or less.
Yep.
That's what it was.
I watched Coos for that.
Yeah, that's where I saw it at. Shout out to Coos.
We love you, Coos.
Hey, we'll come on the podcast and we'll invite you on.
Dude, we want to collab. Yeah, anyway, when you break down those coaching stats, the fact that we've had him around for 5.5 years at this point,
It seems like his leash is longer and longer every day.
I don't know how much I blame Ren Baker, but
Well, is it just on Ren, or are there? Because I've heard that Gee has really good relations with Brown, so it could be a Gordon Gee like above Ren thing.
yeah, I think that's another factor as well. And like we were talking about in the post-game press conferences, once again, Neil seemed to put a lot of blame on Nico. Like whenever we were saying we couldn't fault Nico for what he did that much. Now, some of his performance is questionable, but putting as much of the blame on Nico as he did was a little unwarranted. And that made me think there were external factors at play for portraying Garrett Green as not being the main culprit, which do I think he is? No.
But he's a large factor.
Right.
And I don't know. There's some excuse every time. It's we've played a hard schedule. Oh, we're facing injuries. And then when Mike Asti comes out and asks one hard question, and that it wasn't even that hard to answer, and he just immediately shuts it down. That was the only answer all day that he was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to answer that, basically.
Yeah, it was so odd.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling, because we were all together after the game just talking about it, eating, and we pull up some of the notes from the press conference after the game, and I honestly just don't get his analysis. I mean, again, I think there are external factors to that, but how powerful they are might boggle the mind, because some of the stuff that he's coming out and saying.
Referee always comes up too. Like, he always seems to have something against the officiating in the game. Like, do you think the game was badly officiated, Matt?
I mean, there were a couple calls that stood out to me as not being what I thought, but I mean,
Does it make a 45-18 difference?
it would not have made a difference
So
whatsoever.
should it ever come up in a press conference?
I don't know if I would bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wouldn't. It's common sense.
Yeah.
Honestly. Talking about some coaching rumors, we've all heard it ever since we lost to Penn State, really. Nick
Well,
Saban
Pitt was the main one. Not happening. Stop.
It's
Stop
not-
acting
Wouldn't
like
that
it
be
happened.
something?
Dude.
Wouldn't that be something?
It'd
I,
be,
I figure now. I don't think it's realistic, but it's worth talking about because
Is it? I don't think it is.
There have been so much talk around it, right? Like, I think it would ruin his legacy personally if he came here and decided to join a program that gets 7 wins a year historically. I don't think he would have enough time left in his coaching prime to turn the program around.
Alabama would offer him a big bag if he came out of retirement. So anybody that thinks he's coming to West Virginia, stop being delusional, please.
I'm just seeing it all over. And
I
I'm-
have too.
And I'm just
It's-
like, this ain't
It's
happening.
not happening.
But it's funny.
Yeah, it is a little funny.
It's funny.
A
And then,
man can dream.
but I will dream because Nick Saban grew up 10 minutes from where I grew up.
I think the most common names that I see are like Jimbo Fisher, Andy Kotelnicki, Dan Mullen. I saw come out up as a name today. Jamie Chadwell. So there's some names out there.
I think there was a good chance. I forget the head coach of Indiana's name.
Oh, Kurt Signetti. That's not happening either, by the way. I
Right.
don't know why everybody thinks this is going to happen. And it's just because Kurt Signetti is an alum of West Virginia. And so The reason I'm gonna shut this down right now is because he's 7-0 at a Big Ten school where he can make more money than he can at West Virginia. Even if he's not making more money than Neil Brown right now, I don't know what the situation with both their contracts is, but he has just led one of the worst teams historically in Indiana to a 7-0 start. Just beat the crap out of Nebraska. Why in what world some SEC or Big Ten team is going to offer him a major contract after this year? Whether he takes it or not from Indiana, I know he will not turn down an SEC or Big Ten team that can offer him a lot of money and be in one of the quote-unquote Power 2 conferences over West Virginia, regardless of ties. So I don't think the Curt Cignetti thing is a good option. Or
No.
I'm not. It would be a great option. Like I would love to have Curt Cignetti here, but
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen.
So you're saying we're not going to get a good coach
No, I
because
didn't
other
say that.
people will pay more.
Well, so I'm in favor of Jimbo. As many people that disagree with that, I think Jimbo
I don't
would
disagree
be
with Jimbo.
I think Jimbo would be a fine option, and I think Jimbo's a good coach.
I
He has a national championship. He went 45-25 at Texas A&M in the hardest conference, regardless of how bad he was on the road in the SEC. I think people underestimate how hard it is to win in the ACC versus how hard it would be able to win in West Virginia with a recruiter like Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I am just personally surprised being here for the 2022 season how much blame was put on JT Daniels at the time and not Neil Brown.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that we did not make a move at the time, or at least stop the whole Neil contract extension conversation at the time.
had we then, Curt Cignetti would likely be here now.
That's what I was going to talk about,
Yeah.
because there was a very good opportunity that he would have come.
Yeah, if Neil Brown was fired in that 2022 season. So, but he's got the longest leash in college football for whatever reason.
The question is, at this moment right now, with the seat being as warm as it is, where does Neil Brown go from here? What is his next step to either keep his job, or what is the next step for us as fans and as a school?
Well, so we were talking about the Iowa State game and the Kansas State game. In terms of Big 12 playoff contention, we needed to win these games. Obviously, I think we're probably out of it at this point.
Well, you could win out.
I mean, we could.
There is a mathematical chance, but very,
Yeah.
very, very slim margin.
Well, we're not playing in a vacuum. Everybody else has that dream also, I mean, everyone at our record or above is still swinging for it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but that's probably realistically out of reach for this season. And it makes you wonder if there's even a bowl game in the future, because you have to win. I mean,
You have to win
we're
3
3-4,
games.
so we have to win 3 more games. And, I mean, we'll see.
Have to win 3 out of the next 5 against opponents who
That are
you
not
should
bad.
not sleep on.
No.
Baylor blew out Tech in the Butt Bowl.
I
Baylor.
picked it, by the way.
You picked,
You
you
did.
I
picked just
picked
about every game. I think.
Man.
We'll get there. We'll talk about what I was able to do last year because I'm a master analyst.
We'll talk about our records later when we do
But-
these Big 12 picks, but
yeah.
I am ashamed of my record, man.
I
But-
think Big 12. Well, I don't think I know Big 12 contention is out of the picture because one, even if you win out, you're 7-2 in conference, but you have a head-to-head loss against Kansas State and Iowa State. So you would need both Kansas State and Iowa State to lose. Let's say we do win out. Kansas State would have to lose 2 more conference games, which I don't think is happening, or Iowa State and BYU would have to lose 3 conference games for you to even be in consideration, which
Right.
I don't think Iowa State, BYU, and Kansas State are going to fall off that hard.
Yeah, we need too many things to go right.
Yeah, so
for
that is out of the Big 12 picture is out of contention. So at this point, it's Neil. Can he save his job? My opinion is that he needs to go at least 8-4, win 4 out of the last 5. No,
It's 7 and
I'm
5.
sorry, 7-5, 7-5, win 4 out of the last 5. But even at 7-5, I don't know because of what came out earlier today, in that there's quote unquote good information that Neil is out no matter the situation. And I think if we lose to Arizona, he's gone.
Really?
I think so.
Because Arizona is definitely not a team to sleep on. They've been struggling in conference. I think they're 1-3 in conference play.
They beat Utah, I remember.
Yeah.
But that was I remember that because at the time Utah was still the powerhouse pick, you know.
We thought at the beginning of the season, looking at this middle stretch where we did play Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, and then Arizona, definitely the hardest part of the schedule. Again, we managed to win Oklahoma, and then we lose Iowa and Kansas State, but Arizona is still a tough team, no matter what their record shows. We're going to get to the game preview later. But then you have Cincy, you have Baylor, you have UCF.
And Tech.
And Tech.
Which all those are losable.
Very.
The only thing is they're all teams with losing, or with the exception of Cincinnati. Well, no, never mind. What am I talking about? Texas Tech is 5-2, and Cincinnati is 5-2. So those games especially are not looking good. But Baylor has a losing record, so that's looking good for Neil Brown. UCF has a losing record, and Arizona has a losing record.
But all of
three.
those teams have had wins against teams that are solid, or at least done well against teams that have beaten us. You know, it's entirely possible that we do not win a single game the rest of the season.
It's very possible.
Such a toss up.
I think you guys remember when I had my rant after the Pitt game. I really hope my record prediction then of 3-9 does not come true.
We were not having fun then. We're not having fun now.
It's possible.
We're not having fun, Neil Brown.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a 3-9 season?
Dude.
With the amount of talent we have on this team, that is ridiculous.
This is the worst.
Is there that much talent?
I think so.
We're 3-4.
So.
Where's the talent?
Well, you know that saying that's like, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Like Neil Brown is a hammer.
What a state! What
Dang, man.
He's a hammer. He's a hammer holder, or maybe he's looking and he thinks it's a hammer. I don't know.
Because
poor analogy. He thinks he has a hammer.
Something that came up, and I wanted to bring up to you guys because I think there is talent on the team. Like I said earlier, Day, Nico, Hudson, Traylon Ray, Zay Jennings. I think they're all very talented players. So, but Neil Brown at the beginning of the season was like, we've got a physical secondary that's going to be much improved from last year. We're going to be a Big 12 contender. And so far, he's done nothing but lose by 30 points to ranked opponents. So my question is Neil Brown a liar, or is he a terrible evaluator of talent?
I think it might be a little bit of both.
I don't know. I would really hope because both of them bad, don't get me wrong. But I think that the fact that if it's the fact that he can't evaluate talent, I think that might be worse.
Yeah. I think to a certain extent, he may fib to the fan base, at least, to try to get us to, come to the games, get hyped up.
Well, nobody's coming anymore.
No.
If you were there, third quarter, it was gone. It was the most empty I've seen the stadium with 15 minutes left to go.
I have never. I went to a high school with 600 kids in it, and there have been more games at that high school, or there've been more people in the stands at a high school game against nobodies, like schools that have 200 kids,
and
high school kids.
Well, I think it was you that said to me
There were more Kansas State fans at the end of the game.
I was going to say it was purple.
It was purple.
It was after they went up like 31-10 or something like that. You should look like 10 minutes later.
You look at the
over
away
and you're
side,
like,
and it was nothing
more
but the
people.
silver bleachers and then purple specks. And they all started coming down because, the seats are open. So they all got sideline seats. I mean, good for them because they came all that way. But, that was just, it was heartbreaking. you
Yeah.
know? And like there were people, exclaiming towards the players like, you guys suck, blah blah blah, all this stuff. It's like, as a player, and I'm not a player obviously, but as a player you could totally hear that. I mean, it was like silent in there. I have never, that was, you talk about the night atmosphere in Morgantown.
That was
at
not
night
it.
games. Oh my gosh, that was the complete inverse of what you think of when you think of a night game.
And
in
it never
Morgantown.
got to it never got to anything either. It was
No.
like we didn't do anything good to get the fans riled up.
We got 2 night games this year, and what a way to absolutely squander the opportunity.
Because it was 3 and out, I think. There was a flag, so 4 and out, but 3 and out, very first drive of the game, which is something Neil's known for. Like, normally Neil is known for scripting up a good first drive and scoring. He didn't. So 3 and out. The first quarter, they outscore you 10-3. You kick a field goal, and then you throw a pick six. So it's 17-3. You score in the second quarter. You finally put together a decent drive. And this is where the game was lost and where you saw some fans start to leave, and then again after they went up 31-10. At the end of the half, when there was like it was 2-minute drill, they had it 4th and 1 on like the 4 or 5 yard line, however far it was. And this is what it gets me so bad. I don't care if you go for it there. In fact, I think I even said to you all, I was like, Neil better go for this. It's 4th and 1.
Right.
It's 17-10, right? Yeah, 17-10. You have a chance to go into halftime tied against a ranked team. Regardless of how you started, forget the 2 picks. You have a chance to go into halftime tied. Instead of taking your 240-pound running back up the middle like you should do every time, because you hang your hat on having one of the best offensive lines in the Big 12, and you have a 240-pound running back, run him up the middle, run him up the gut. That's what you need to do. Instead of that, you put Garrett in the situation to run around like a headless chicken, not know what he's doing, and he throws the ball in the dirt. Cole Taylor was standing wide open in the end zone. I'm getting angry again. Cindy, you need to take the mic away.
Oh, man.
Cole Taylor is wide open in the end zone. And instead of Garrett being able to, and the pressure was there, so you can't really blame Garrett, but at the same time it was on him. Instead of finding Cole Taylor, he just throws it in the dirt. And a completely uncatchable ball. So, bad coaching. That should have been a halfback draw, halfback dive. I don't care. Run CJ up the middle. And then bad play, because when Garrett did finally get the play, there was like 10 seconds left on the play clock. He didn't even have time to get the offense set and then look at the defense. It was, holy crap, that's our play. We only got 7 seconds left on the clock. Everybody set, hut, let's go. No time to check the defense. No time to say, hey, that play's not going to work. Let me change the play. No time at, like, absolute horrible execution. Embarrassing. And then from there on out, it was, hey, there's more Kansas State fans here than West Virginia, and we're at home.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody in the stands knew the coaching issues, but they knew that something was wrong. And I think even the most casual fans at this point know that something's got to be done, man. By the way, C.J. Donaldson, 12 carries for 34 yards. Jaheim White, 7 carries for 18 yards. Total on the ground with Garrett Green's rushing stat, which was better than his passing yards, 152 yards on the ground. I don't think that's enough against a Kansas State team. But then again, with the C.J. Donaldson 34 yards, a lot of those runs were east to west. So
I don't know what Neil Brown's doing.
That's how we seem to move the ball. We just seem to go bouncing off the sidelines and just can't quite get down the field.
It's like run 1, run 2, east to west with CJ, screen pass on 3rd and 7.
And I understand.
Time.
I understand there were some injuries. Again, Wyatt Milam, Jaheim White, those were key. But
you can't tell me that you don't have the backups are not good enough to at least stay in the game.
yeah,
You hang your hat on Nico as the future. Jaheim's the one that went out. CJ Donaldson was somebody 2 years ago that was, oh my goodness, this guy might come in 2023 and blow up. Well, he didn't last year. He had an okay season. And then this year hasn't looked good.
I'm glad we've gotten a chance to rant.
I think
about this game a little bit.
Man, I don't know.
I think we're gonna move on.
We need some happy news.
Yeah,
Beanie?
Beanie Bishop. Yeah. Before we talk about Beanie, for you guys watching, let us know your thoughts on the Kansas State game, your breakdowns. Let us know what you think about the coaching situation. Just comment, send us a message, whatever you want to do, please do it. We would love to interact. So, happy news, Beanie Bishop, the 1-year corner from last year, dog, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers undrafted.
which was crazy. On All American consensus, All American undrafted is unheard of.
Yeah. He was insane against the Jets the other night.
Not just the Jets. Multi-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. The
Yeah.
Jets.
Future Hall of Famer, probably.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
What do you mean
Jets.
probably?
I mean, probably.
Future Hall of Famer.
Probably. Man, but yeah, you got Aaron Rodgers on that team. You had Devontae Adams who just got traded there, so the Jets had a lot of momentum going into Pittsburgh.
Some hope at least.
Yeah, and then Brees Hall had been struggling the past few weeks, so you thought he was going to have a get-right game. And the Steelers end up winning by, what was it, 38-15, I think was the final score.
37-15.
37-15. Yeah, Beanie Bishop, 2 interceptions. One that he got to the 1-yard line. Should have been a pick 6.
Well, see, I think the first one was more impressive. So, like, the receiver kind of had him beat, and he, like, reached with one hand and had it and just brought it in one-handed. It was impressive.
I saw that one. Yeah,
well,
Matt has a replay up
I'm
on his
watching- I'm
laptop.
watching the
here.
We'll
clips.
put both of them up on the screen. The first one was the more impressive one, even the return on the second one. The second one bounced off of Garrett Wilson's chest. Like, come on
So
now.
did he get a tip on this? Maybe.
No, he just
No,
I
Garrett
don't-
Wilson.
I
He
think
just didn't
dropped it.
didn't
Yeah.
quite get it.
He put, you know what
How did
made me
how does
so
that
mad?
bounce in that direction?
I was on Twitter the other day, and I don't know who it was, but it was a Pitt fan. And, you know, West Virginia Pitt, we hate each other on
love
Saturday.
each other.
But we like each other on Sunday because most West Virginia fans are Pittsburgh Steelers
Right.
fans, closest NFL team. And so I saw it. It was like, the Pitt fan was like, I know we hate each other, but man, I love some Beanie Bishop. And he shows the highlight, the Garrett Wilson one, and you know what he cuts to as Beanie's running? He cuts to 2 years ago when Pitt picked us off in a similar fashion. It was a bounce off of Bryce Ford Wheaton's chest.
Oh,
That's funny.
No, man, I about threw my phone on.
That means it worked. He got to you.
He did.
but man, yeah, Beanie Bishop popping off. Just has a chip on his shoulder.
What a game.
I know. Get right game for the Steelers after. I mean, they beat the Raiders pretty handedly, but it was after they lost to the Colts in Indy, and then they lost to the Cowboys at home. So definitely a momentum shifter for them. Now let's move on just very briefly to the basketball team who just beat Charleston in an exhibition game 94-61. Tucker DeVries leading scorer. I was not at that game, nor did I get a chance to watch very much of the game, but
I wish we would have been able to go.
I know. From what I heard, though, a very efficient performance, which is good because our team last year, while we did have a lot of talent objectively,
Yeah.
was not efficient.
So what I heard the most of was just like it was fun watching them, which is not what you heard last year watching our team. And so this is just a, throw it up in the air and make a guess kind of thing because it was a D2 school like it is UH Charleston versus West Virginia. So you can't really make a ton of assessments, I guess, but that looks promising given what we're going through in football season.
Definitely. And I just hope to have more after the worst basketball season in program history last year.
Yeah.
With only 9 wins. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we keep getting down in the dumps, man. There's like so much negativity that we can talk about, but we're trying to talk about the good stuff.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Number
Soccer's
one in
awesome.
the nation.
Soccer is awesome this year.
Both the women's and men's.
Are they both number one?
I don't know if the women's is number one, but I
Okay.
know the women's is
I know the
doing
women are
too.
good. I know the women are good. But the men, I think, only have 1 loss. They don't have any draws. I don't think we played Marshall yet either. I'm excited.
That's going to be another good game.
I'm very excited to play Marshall. I did not get a chance to go last year when they came here.
Yeah, that was
Now-
one I wanted to go to.
I think the game is in Marshall this year. if you have their schedule pulled up, which I think
I don't. Yeah, I don't have it pulled up. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know a ton about soccer. We
Yeah.
don't like. I just want to clarify. Men is number one, right?
Yes,
I think. Yeah.
men
yeah,
are
yeah.
number one at the moment.
Now, where are you
That's
seeing
what I
that?
thought.
How do you how do you know that?
Well, we saw it at the football game. I swear.
Yeah,
it
we saw the
flashed up
football game,
again.
and I
I
saw.
believe you. I don't know where to
Well, no,
find
I
that.
saw it earlier today on the soccer Instagram page.
And
Number
I
one.
was gonna say I was pretty
Well,
sure that we.
See, I'm looking it up. I'm on NCAA.com.
Okay,
They have us as 13,
I know why.
unless I'm completely
What?
wrong.
I know why. It was because I was looking at the conference standings. The Sun Belt.
So we're number one in
We're
the
number
Sun
one
Belt.
in the conference.
maybe
Maybe
we're all tripping. See, this one has.
Good job.
I don't even know.
No, I
man.
see. You're gonna get a kick out of this.
This is what
I
I'm
see
saying.
Pittsburgh
One above us. I
as,
see the
as
same
number
thing.
one.
Yeah,
how does this make?
when we were at the pit game.
We don't know how soccer works, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're football and basketball.
No, you know what?
podcast.
Look,
So you're
like-
looking at United Soccer Coaches. I'm looking at NCAA Men's Soccer RPI.
which has us 13. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. What
Again-
about committee's top 16?
they've got Pitt second and us 12.
And that's 12. So I don't know how the ranking works.
I don't know.
America.
Final answer.
Americus, let us know in the comments.
America, we said this was going to be an unscripted episode.
we really?
And it's
Um,
great. It's great.
it-
I think it's more fun.
It's a cool vibe because we just needed some positivity after breaking down that game.
Ugh.
So, yeah.
And breaking down in the game.
That's that's why we decided to give a little
Y'all should see me
unscripted.
in the game. These two
I
guys.
know. You don't want to be around Tyler during the game.
No matter where our men's and
good.
women's soccer team are ranked, though, doing a heck of a job.
We hang our hat on the soccer teams and the rifle team. We're a rifle school.
I think
That's true.
our women's basketball looks to do really well.
Women's basketball ranked number 16 in the preseason.
Yeah, 16
AP.
preseason. And I saw Coach Mark Kellogg. He came out with an absolute banger. And
What a dude.
I am not going to go searching for the quote, but basically he was like, we're going to do well. We're going to be in the top 16. We're going to have a home game in the playoffs in Morgantown, and it'll be awesome. I'm like, I love that attitude. I
Totally.
think that attitude would
This
help
is
out the
why-
football team.
This is why I think it's not on This is going back to football, so I'm sorry, boys. I don't think it's on Ren that Neil hasn't been fired yet because he has done an incredible job hiring coaches thus far. Mark Kellogg, look at what he did last year.
He's awesome. Also, a very, very great guy. If you ever get the chance to say hi to him, he's very cool.
Darren DeVries, I mean, we don't know yet, but as of right now, as far as like culture and how the team is carrying themselves, like the chemistry being built, and you haven't even played a game yet. Like last night was your first game.
So you guys didn't, but I got to go watch an in-person practice that they had, and I can definitely say he's setting a culture. Guys are very eager and willing to listen to him. Like all he has to do is walk to center court, and the guys just give him attention. You know, which I feel like is awesome.
He's that kind of guy.
We need that kind of presence. And then I got a chance to meet him, shake hands with him, small talk a little bit. He's awesome guy.
Sweet.
So I feel like with DeVries and Kellogg as the basketball coaches, we're headed in the right direction.
Now we just need a really good football one.
Oh man. But yeah, I talking about women's basketball just for a second before we move on to Big 12 picks. I thought in the playoffs after Caitlin Clark, they were going to get rid of the home playoff system because in the first rounds of the NCAA bracket, they were at home for the higher seeds.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do away with that at some point. Now, I didn't know if it was going to be this year or not, but while if we were going to get there, like Kellogg was saying, and have a home playoff court appearance,
That would be incredible.
it would be incredible, and I would be all for it. But I feel like having the even playing field and the neutral ground would be a better option, just to make it like the men's game.
Well, so I guess I could go based off of the like the Big 12 tournament was not. I mean, as neutral as it was, they have those in Kansas City. Is it Kansas City, Kansas, or Missouri? I believe it's in Missouri. Is that right?
It is.
Doesn't matter to me. But you know, looking at that as neutral as that may be due to location, you know, how many fans are you going to have from each team? You know, I would imagine like Kansas, Kansas State. It's really not hard to drive 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, to go there and support your team. Whereas, you'd get there faster flying if you come from Morgantown or maybe some of the other places in the conference that travel. So, and that's just, I guess, a conference issue in terms of how spread out everyone is.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I like the concept of a neutral site, but realistically, how accessible that is to fans.
See, I think
How neutral
all
is it?
playoff games, no matter of sport, should be neutral site. Because I think a playoff game should not have a home field advantage, essentially. Like
Well, that
you
was
saw-
that's what I'm saying. I like the idea of
Do
a
you
neutral site, but is
like-
that actually going to happen?
I don't know. If you think about the Ohio State Oregon game,
Mhm.
is Ohio State or Oregon truly the better one or two? Is Ohio State is Oregon truly the better team than Ohio State, or did they just have that one push of momentum, having that home field advantage that pushed them over the edge?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point to make.
Whereas if Oregon were to travel to Ohio State to play, would Ohio State have won that game? So I think in terms of like when you have a playoff structure, it should always be, hey, let's put this team up against this team, no advantages, and let them duke it out. Whoever's the better team comes out on top.
Yeah.
I think that's the right move forward for women's basketball. But men are doing it. For the new 12-team playoff for football, I think there are home rounds, right?
Its first round is at the higher seeds home,
Okay.
and then from there on out, it's the
bowls, the
Yeah.
major bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Let's move on to Big 12 picks. Again, guys, let us know what you think about the basketball team, women's basketball team, soccer team, literally anything WVU sports. This is the Coal Country podcast. We cover WVU sports. We are not just football.
We will learn more about soccer and women's soccer if that's what you guys want to hear about.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know for sure. Interact with us. All right. Big 12 games. So BYU goes into UCF. So BYU coming off that big win against Oklahoma State at home. 38-35. Won the game with 7 seconds left.
It was something crazy.
And it was a very small margin of victory in terms of time.
A great game to watch if
Definitely.
you stayed up to watch it.
I caught the very end of it, and it was worth it.
And then same thing with UCF's game last week too.
UCF should have had that game, man. UCF should have had that game.
Nah,
That-
man.
Oh man, the pass interference call. I don't know, but BYU up to number 11 in the AP, right behind Iowa
Rigged.
State.
That is terrible. There is no reason BYU should be behind Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame. Like, no. They are undefeated, 7-0. It is time to put them in the top 10.
I agree.
All right, well, pop off.
I will.
Pop off.
We already did a top 25 segment like 1 episode ago, or whenever we did it.
Let
so
us
I don't
know.
want-
Let us know if you want us to do another one.
My vote is
We
yes.
will do some.
Like Alabama and
We'll
Ole
let the
Miss
people
are still
decide.
way too high.
Oh yeah.
2 lost teams and they're like above some undefeated. That's terrible. Do better.
We'll see.
Do better.
Anyway,
NCAA
BYU
or AP,
going-
whatever you.
BYU going into UCF. I got nothing else to say just besides BYU.
Let me get that
Like-
pick. Let me get that pick, big man.
I said
That's what he said.
BYU.
Oh, my fault.
I said BYU.
All right. I
Let me
like
get-
it.
BYU. Let me get my pick.
Yeah, I missed.
I just said
missed
it.
Brigham Young
Hey,
University.
what's your pick, Tyler?
Jimmer Fredette.
So, I told y'all, dude, I'm so mad about last week. Like, we sit in Milan Pushkar for 4 hours to watch our team get boat raced to the end. And then to top it all off, I started my day out with pick 7 for 7. And then TCU just had to go and ruin it. TCU beat Utah. That was the only pick I missed last week.
Mhm.
So that made me mad. Okay? I'm not picking you TCU this week, just by the way, because you made me mad. BYU.
BYU.
That easy, yeah. All right, Jit. So you picked BYU last week, but curious with your ties to Utah and your supposed rivalry with BYU, does that factor into your picks at all?
And his Florida upbringing. From Florida, as we say every week.
For this game specifically.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it'll factor in. I have
you
a
thinking?
guess. I have a
Take the
guess.
upset.
He's gonna tell us his pick, and I'm gonna tell you if I was right or wrong with my guess.
You're just gonna be right no matter what. You're just
We'll
gonna
see.
say-
We'll
All
find
right,
out.
That's
Jit,
fake news.
What you got, Jit?
I'm gonna give you my true and honest pick for this one. I really feel. Well, Matt's probably gonna get this right. UCF.
Dub.
He's lying. He
He's-
was thinking.
Why was I?
BYU.
Why would I guess BYU?
Why would I lie?
He's lying, America.
His dad played. I'm not lying, America. His dad played football at Utah. Rivalry. Bam. And last week he's like, "Oh, I got friends in UCF. Blah blah blah. This and that." Dude, he's gonna pick UCF. Dub.
So 3-1 BYU UCF. Jit's going with the upset. I like it.
Yep, Jit's going with the Florida pick as usual. So let's move on. Oklahoma State at Baylor. So Baylor coming off a huge win against Texas Tech last week. And then you got Oklahoma State barely falling short to BYU, like we talked about earlier. Oklahoma State still got some injury problems. Baylor riding a lot of momentum. This is kind of a hard pick, but I got Baylor here.
Oh, okay.
I got Baylor here.
Is that all?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I thought about this game earlier, it's the fact that Oklahoma State has lost 4 straight, and it's the fact that it seemed like Baylor had a sort of Cinderella game against Texas Tech. Now, those two things were conflicting me picking against Baylor, but when you look at the raw stats and you look at the momentum that each team has, like I said last week, I'm a huge momentum guy.
Yeah.
I want to roll with Baylor here. Now, I could be wrong again. I was 3-5 last week on my picks, if that tells you anything, but I got Baylor.
I'm stuck. So sad.
You want me to go first?
I was hoping Garrett Rangel, if he would have been in the game at the end, I think Oklahoma State would have won last week. But he got injured, and he's out for the season. I don't want to go Baylor because I don't think Mike Gundy loses 5 in a row, but I'm going to go Baylor.
I will also go with Baylor.
Wow, okay.
We're
I
on
gotta
the
say,
same wavelength.
Baylor, when I was in high school, Baylor was sending me emails like, "We want you to go to school here. We know it's out of state. Well, we'll help pay. We'll help cover the cost." I still get emails from them. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
They still want me to go to college there. That's crazy.
What's the Jit pick?
I'm kind of feeling Oklahoma State.
Dude, we're gonna do this all day.
So is that an upset? Is Oklahoma State? Is that the upset pick?
Let's check the
Well,
spread
You got
real
it right
quick.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
check-
would be
Well,
an
yeah,
upset.
but like this is ESPN, whatever. Do we think it's an upset? Do we
ESPN
think it's
is
an upset pick?
ESPN.
All right, so let's say Oklahoma State's 0-4 conference play.
It's basically a pick 'em, but it's at Baylor, so that's why Baylor's favored, basically.
I agree. I
So you-
think it'll go to
So
Baylor,
yes,
though.
technically, Jet has picked the upset twice in a row, and I'm not against it because both of those games could go the other way.
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is,
yeah.
This is the game I was torn on the most. Let's move on again to the next game. Texas Tech goes to Texas Christian University. TCU, man. I like TCU. I really do like TCU. I was on their campus for a week over the summer. Really nice dorms, really nice study halls, nice football facility, really nice stadium. I got to go on the field. Texas Tech ain't gonna lose this game. I know that TCU goes out and beats Utah. It was a close game against a hobbled Utah team. I got Texas Tech. I don't think they
If we keep doing this, it's crazy. I'm going Tech as well. You ruined my streak, TCU. That's the only reason.
All right, so I'm looking at their last couple games. Texas Tech seems to have done well against good teams, and TCU has also done okay. They did lose. They lost to Houston though.
Contemplating.
So I think I will also go with Texas Tech.
But wait, guys, I just realized something. I just now realized
we're all
something.
picking the upset. What?
We're using logic.
No, this is the upset.
Turn that off.
We're
This
using
is the
logic.
upset. No, I'm using my anger because they ruined my streak last
Oh
week.
my gosh.
Texas Tech is the upset pick according to ESPN.
Why are you saying it like ESPN is not a reliable source?
I don't mean it like that. Even if I do or don't think that, I'm not confirming nor denying that.
The AP isn't a reliable source. That's what's not.
I agree with
That's
that.
why we look at the
What-
JP
what-
poll.
dude,
I'm
gonna
looking at
pull
their
up.
schedule. How did TCU beat Kansas? That came out wrong. TCU beat Kansas and lost to like everybody, and then beat Utah.
Unscripted more often.
But they lost to Houston, and it wasn't super close.
Because logic.
Yeah, I'm going Texas Tech.
Okay, what we got?
making me
Jit?
Please
making me
pick
confused.
TCU.
Making me confused.
TCU or Texas Tech? Jit, what you got?
I'm feeling like I'm gonna go with the majority on this one. I'm
Dang
feeling Texas Tech for this one. I'm sorry, TCU. I
I wanted
feel-
them to keep picking against us because
Oh,
I
no,
want
no,
them to
no,
go
no, no.
7 for 7.
I got some surprises later. Okay, I got some surprises. I'm not gonna let you crash into slumber, man. Don't worry.
I just wanted you to go 7 for 7 against us. I thought it'd be funny.
Three of us. Well, we all four got Tech.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Utah goes into Houston. Utah coming off the TCU loss. Houston coming off a loss to Kansas when I thought Houston was going to win that game. Even with that, I don't think there's much to talk about here. I think Utah will win this game.
That's too logical. But Utah's going to win.
I'm looking. I'm studying right now. Studying their schedule. Dude, Kansas has had the craziest, and not in a good way, year.
Kansas? Wrong team.
Hold on. No, this is what I meant. Kansas has had the craziest, and not in a good way, year.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Utah hasn't played them, though, so I guess that doesn't help me out. I was saying that because Houston just
What a casual.
got destroyed by them.
It's okay.
So I'm also going to go with Utah because Houston got destroyed by Kansas.
Logic.
That's intense logic.
I don't think so.
You don't think
J-
so?
I think Matt can guess my pick on this one too.
Oh, this one? Yeah, we don't even.
Utah. You don't got to tell me twice.
Go Utes.
Hail Utes.
Is Utah like Hawk Tua? Technical difficulty.
You gotta
Not
put-
difficulty.
Royalty-free
Next
music.
pick.
Okay, you got to put like Ross music over that.
Did he pick
Um,
Utah? Cam descending,
yes.
get a job.
Yes,
Cam descending. Oh man.
We need to make the "you need to get a job" list. We need
We
to
do.
make that for the pod.
We have
We do.
one. It's Cam descending, DJ. And
You cannot say that. You
You're
cannot
gonna get us
say
canceled.
that.
You're gonna get us
Okay.
canceled.
Guys, we gotta bleep that one out.
no, why can't I say DJ?
I literally do not know how to pronounce his last name.
It's
Uyunglele.
Yui.
It's
Yu-
Uyunglele.
Uyunglele.
I'm gonna Google the pronunciation.
He got benched.
Uyangulele.
Dude,
Uyangulele.
Stop.
Okay,
You're gonna get us canceled.
Let's
How is
not
that?
do
How's there an
this.
N in there? There's not an N in his name. It's Uyangulele.
Same reason pterodactyl has a P in it. That's it. It's
Yeah,
the same
factual
reason.
logic.
That ain't right, man.
Anyway, Kansas goes in to play Kansas State. Where's Kansas State based, by the way?
Wichita. right?
Manhattan.
Manhattan. I thought
What?
Kansas was
Really?
in Manhattan.
Yeah, look it up.
I
Fact
believe
check.
you.
I know ball. I went 7 for 8.
Anyway, just like the previous pick here with Houston and Utah, I don't think there's much to talk about. Kansas State coming off a huge win against us,
We
sadly,
don't talk about it.
will beat Kansas. You know, Kansas finally has 2 wins on the season.
Finally.
So Kansas State is orthogonal from Wichita and what the heck? All right, I don't know how to read a map either, so I
Dude,
I
it's
just take it all
is it
back.
not Manhattan?
No, it is,
Oh, see,
but it's orthogonal from Wichita and Topeka.
I told you.
Okay.
The more you know.
The more you know. Should we implement a fun fact? That sounds fun.
Fun fact: spell orthogonal.
No.
All right. Anyway, I got Kansas State winning this game. I don't think there's much to talk about here. Jaden Daniels still not having a great year. Avery Johnson balling out against us anyway. I think he continues to do that. Now, passing against a Kansas secondary is going to be a little harder than anticipated for him, I feel like. But I still feel like he's going to get the job done. DJ Giddens is going to return to form and get more than 57 yards against Kansas. So I got Kansas State winning this game pretty easily.
Blowout fashion, even.
So you said there is not much to talk about. What am I doing? I'm sorry. I typed in the wrong
Are you
thing.
looking at ESPN right now?
I am. ESPN is a reliable source.
Let's go Disney. Walt Disney.
You said there's not much to talk about, and I disagree. Kansas coming off a big win against Houston. Whatever.
Massive.
It is what it is. Kansas State coming off an even bigger win, just in blowout fashion because West Virginia is terrible. Hail West Virginia, baby, till I die. Kansas is winning. This is a trap game. This is a trap game if I have ever seen one because it is a rivalry game. Kansas is doing terrible. Kansas State just come off another win. They're not expecting to lose this game because it's like, ooh, Kansas sucks. Kansas.
I don't see that happening. I don't even think it'll be close.
So you just
That's
got
my
Kansas
pick.
State. Okay.
That's my pick.
So Kansas State.
All right, Jit, what are you thinking?
Even though Kansas State is very low on my scale of respect after the game recently, very low. I think its respect level is about like 20% right now. But I'd say Kansas State because even though it was against us, they showed what they could do. They showed their fangs, and
Kansas State's a
it's
good team.
possible. It's very possible.
Also, before we move on, Kansas State's football team, before halftime was over, coming onto the field during the band's halftime show. We were there.
Hashtag not cool.
They did that?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
You didn't know,
I didn't
about,
know
that.
about that.
On the right side of the field, if you're on the press box side, on the right side of the field where the guard members were, back there towards the away tunnel,
Yeah, what the heck, Wildcats?
they
Oh,
were
it is
they were
crazy.
actually
Show some
running.
respect.
They were running endurance and stretching drills right next to the guard, and they hit the guard a few times, so they were twirling.
Bunch of losers.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that, man. I've seen a lot of people freaking
No,
out about
I didn't
that.
notice that at the game, but I went back and watched a like the YouTube video of the halftime, and they surrounded that girl back there. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's
not
uncalled
cool.
for.
Not cool.
So
Crazy.
not only did we lose that game in embarrassing fashion and lower my respect level, as
Yeah, but
shit
Kansas,
calls it
the
for
Kansas
them.
State football team embarrassed themselves. 'Cause
Yes.
that is not how you should conduct yourself.
I agree.
And there were staff members out there like getting them to do it. You guys suck at your job. And I think
Can
no,
we say
seriously,
that?
there should be a public apology. I'm not even joking. It's not funny. It's
I'm
completely
honestly kind of with him.
it's completely
I agree with
disrespectful.
him.
It's unprofessional.
I agree with
and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I went off about Neil Brown, and he's going about.
All I'm gonna
I
say.
agree.
All I'm gonna say. My respect level was at a 20%. It's even lower now. It's like a -15.
That ain't right.
Negative. Okay.
Join me.
Right there. Right
Pick
there.
Kansas. Join me.
I'm sorry. Even though they are not nice to the band members, as we have seen, their performance is a whole other ballpark. In
Kansas
the
is
A football
winning.
park.
Kansas is winning. Moving on.
That's the upset. But he ain't gonna
Yeah.
let us get another word
I will
in.
buy you a candy bar. What kind of candy bar if you're right? You pick
What? I was right
kind of
last
candy
week.
bar?
You owe me like 6 candy bars.
I
No,
got a
you
couple,
owe
right?
us. You owe us for the first podcast. I don't want to hear about
Yeah,
it.
get out of here. All right, what kind of candy? If you're right on this pick, what kind of candy bar you want?
I don't like candy.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
Let's move on to the
Not good
last
for you.
game. Last game before we get to the Mountaineers. Cincinnati going on the road to face Colorado, where Colorado had a blowout game against Arizona this past week. Handed them a big L.
Yep.
um,
Called it. Calvin. Proud of my performance.
I think Colorado stays on this train and gets it done against Cincy. Now, Cincy has a fantastic defense. And they're kind of on a hot streak themselves. But I think Colorado gets it done with the room of talent of Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter.
I agree. I think Colorado wins. On a hot streak, they have definitely proven as so far, other than the close Kansas State game and the Nebraska game, they've proven that they have improved from last year, which was not known to be the case. Holy cow. I just want to point out, this is totally unrelated. I'm picking Colorado, by the way. Do you know you can get tickets to the Utah-Houston game as low as $2?
Holy
Oh
cow.
my gosh.
Why?
Houston.
We should call that the bowl because it's UUUH.
Not everything needs to be put together.
That's funny. It's like we had the butt bowl
bowl.
last week, and then
Yeah,
you
but that's
turn
'cause
around and
it's
go
a
to the
ri-
bowl.
Yeah, but that's because it was a rivalry.
They're in the same conference. Why can't we just love each other? It's
That-
college football, man.
That's a bigger question. Anyway, Matt, you got Colorado.
Yeah, I got Colorado. Sugar Sanders has done well. Travis Hunter,
Dog.
He's done extremely well.
Obvious Heisman candidate.
Yeah.
No.
So, well, I don't think he'll win
Second
it.
place.
I don't think he'll win it.
There,
but
there was a poll taken today, and he's in the front running, which is total bull.
I don't think he'll win it.
I think all of us can agree, if Jit even knows, Ashton Jeanty.
Shit even knows. Just gonna blow him up.
Do you know about
What's
Boise?
that supposed to mean?
Do you know about Boise State? Ashton Jeanty,
Ashton Jeanty.
best running back in college football, bar none.
Maybe in history.
What do you-
by the
what do you
end of
gotta
the
say?
season.
That
What do you
was
gotta say over there?
disrespectful.
Why you gotta hurt me like that, man? Like you gotta go
You know-
straight.
you know- you know,
you gotta
it
go
Why can't we
straight
just love
after
each
me.
other?
It take me off when Matt
why
said
can't
that.
we? Why can't we just love each other? Why-
It take me off when Matt
Come
said
on,
that,
man.
man.
What I said we
we're
should
all
love each
friends.
other?
We're
That's
all
crazy.
friends here.
What are Boise State's color?
Colors.
Oh no.
Blue and orange.
Yes.
Let's go.
Dude, he's on top.
Let's keep the camera on. Let's keep the camera on for that one. But anyway, I think Ashton Jeanty is going to win the Heisman. Travis Hunter's in the discussion. He'll always be in the discussion. But I got Colorado. You two got Colorado. What do you got, Jit?
Just for disrespecting me like that, I'm gonna do a whole little thing here now. Okay. Okay.
He's gonna do a
Okay?
thing.
I'm
to
here
you.
for it. I'm here for it.
PG-13.
All right.
The people want to see more of you anyway. So
Yeah, they want to
people
see
do.
more of me.
You have a
Okay,
look.
I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. Okay.
You like that, America?
This is a great episode. I'm
All,
loving it.
all I'm gonna say, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, dudes of all teenagers, here we go. I'm the man. Y'all should know me by now. I'm the vibe pick man.
That's
Okay.
the Jitster.
Yes, right here. Y'all should know me. Okay? So I'm thinking Cincinnati. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
One thing that I like, one thing that I don't like already,
Disrespect.
this is not disrespect. This is called an observation. Okay? This is not logic observation because logic has no place in football. And I agree with that. Okay? I agree with that. I do not run on logic, man. I do not run on logic. You know what I run on?
fossil fuels.
Exactly.
Cole Rush.
Duncan?
Don't remind me of the guys.
I run on all
Boys,
those
we gotta
chocolate
wrap it.
bars that Tyler over here has still not given me. Okay, I want my
Boom.
Hershey special
I didn't
dark.
know I owed him
But
one.
roasted.
all I'm saying is, hear me out. Cincinnati. I'm just feeling it. Okay, it's the vibe pick. I have
Fair
not
enough.
given you a vibe
Okay.
pick the
That's a
whole
lot
time.
of feeling. I'm getting a lot of feeling from this side of the room.
Very.
But it's a lot of
passionate.
vibe. I feel like it's just a lot of vibe.
They want to see more of me. I'm right here.
Dude, heck yeah.
okay, I'm right here. All I'm gonna say,
He's a Remy.
I'm a Remy, okay? Remy Bowl, right up here. West Virginia, right here, okay?
Represent.
Represent.
I love it.
I'm even wearing my high school football team shorts right here. I'm all decked out.
He's representing his family, his college, his high school, his history. I love it.
All I'm gonna
Heritage,
say-
baby.
All I'm going to say, Remy, West Virginia, St. Thomas Aquinas High School.
We got to go to a
Raiders.
St. Thomas game now.
We got to go down to Florida.
They're
Live
they're
reaction.
On, they're on television. They actually were on ESPN.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Are they
they're
a
on
top
E-
West Virginia school?
they're
Well,
on
no,
West
you went to
Virginia,
Florida. Sorry.
They televise the games sometimes. You'll have to see them.
We got to pull it up on.
I'm
We
there.
down
don't, we
to
don't do
watch.
that around here.
They're actually.
You ever see
they're
like a
actually-
Y'all want a
televised-
live reaction?
You ever
Not
see a
besides the
televised-
state championship.
They're pretty
Yeah.
good. They're pretty good, honestly. The last season I was in, I think we only lost once. We were
Okay.
pretty good.
We got to watch him now.
We
Definitely give it a try. And to all my Raider alumni, because I know there's some that watch. Go Raiders.
All right, so all three of us got Colorado. He's
What
got
a
Cincinnati.
segment from Jit.
I
that
know,
was.
right, dude?
I like it.
All right, now let's move on to the game for us. The Mountaineers heading to Arizona to play the Wildcats at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. in Arizona. Breaking down this game a little bit, just going off of the JIT vibes that I'm getting here. I don't think we win this game now. However, I do think it's closer than most people think. The spread for this game is only 3, I think, according to ESPN,
Is it favoring us?
and it's favoring Arizona.
See, ESPN's
That's
got
what I'm
us
seeing.
favored.
No, wait, it does. Matchup predictor, according to ESPN Analytics, 52.1% to the Mountaineers.
Well, what was the spread then? I saw the spread before
Yeah, I
we
thought the
started.
spread
The
was
spread
recording.
is Arizona -3. I don't
What the heck?
understand.
Logic.
ESPN. Short answer.
Oh my gosh.
This guy apparently hates ESPN.
Now I do think the inconsistent play of Noah Fafita,
Could play a
Yes.
factor.
yeah, it's definitely going to play a factor. Arizona again 1-3 in conference.
Sorry.
However, considering Avery Johnson had a field day against us last week, I think the dog that Arizona has in the wide receiver room, Tetaroa McMillan,
That was a beautiful pronunciation.
was it?
I just want
You
to
like
say
that?
that was beautiful.
Tetaroa McMillan.
That's
You
it.
have a lovely voice.
I think Tetaroa McMillan may get more than 100 receiving yards in this
He
game.
might have 300 like he did against the first game of the season. Against this secondary, who knows?
Now he's definitely the X factor for the game. Now if the Noah Fafita continues his inconsistency, he can't get the ball to McMillan. That could definitely swing it in our favor, which is why I think the spread is so small. But for me, the passing game of Arizona is going to be the biggest key for them. The biggest key for us, besides the obvious shutdown on defense in the secondary, is going to be our run game. Again, like, I don't trust the play calling, nor do I trust either one of the quarterbacks to make the throws at this point in the season. If I had a glimpse of hope, then I would say, yes, we need to make better passes. Receivers need to create space. All that good stuff. Garrett Green needs to roll out of the pocket more. All that stuff, which I think still applies to this game to a certain extent. But my trust level for them has gone down considerably. And I think in order to stay consistent on our side, we just need to run the ball 200 yards on the ground. Let's run CJ up the middle, get him some vertical runs and not some horizontal runs. If Jaheim White is available, we use him as a jack of all trades player, run him up the middle. I'm okay with running him around the side. He's quicker.
Well, Jaheim is questionable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If he's able to play.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think running for us, and then for Arizona, the passing game. However, I think the probability for me leans towards Arizona. I think Arizona wins this game 27-21.
I don't even want to pick. This is the Rich Rod Bowl. I've seen all over Twitter. Whoever wins this game gets Rich Rod back. Arizona, you can keep him. We don't want him. I mean, he'd probably be a better option than Neil, but we won't take Rich Rod back. Does anybody feel differently?
No.
Matt?
I don't know anything about sports.
I'm just saying,
What a casual.
when he goes 10-2 with us and then goes to Michigan and goes 3-9.
Disrespectful. Well, to be fair, he did go 10-3 with us, so he could come back and do it again. I'm not advocating for Rich Rod.
Yeah.
Rich Rod Bowl. I just thought it was funny because I saw it on Twitter earlier. I don't know. I feel like all, the keys to the game is the keys we talk about every week, like Garrett's performance, how you can run the ball, keep the offense on the field. But up to this point, you haven't had great performance out of Garrett or running the ball well. So other than the Oklahoma State game. And so it comes down to, can the secondary hold up against a quarterback in Noah Fafita who has more interceptions on the season than touchdowns, but last year showed hope? And no, they can't, because Tetaroa McMillan is going to go crazy and just be wide open every play of the game. So I'm going Arizona. I think they win by at least 10 points. I'll go 34-24.
pondering over here.
So,
Oh my gosh, Matt. Come on,
I mean, that is
man.
this game. We both suck. We don't know what to do.
so here's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
That's true.
I'm thinking we just had 2 must-win games, and we did the exact opposite. So, if what we've discussed about Neil Brown's era is that we don't like to win games where there's a lot of pressure. Isn't the pressure off now?
Well, Neil's.
I mean,
Like-
sure, we're still hunting for a bowl game, but
My thing is he's lost the locker room. Similar to how Coach Eilert last year with the basketball.
You're fading out a little bit. That's why. I
Oh,
was
my
just
fault.
trying
My
to-
fault. So similar to how Coach Eilert did last year with the basketball team, kind of lost the locker room after so far in the season. I think Neil's lost the locker room, and I don't think, other than a few suspects on the team, have anything to play for at this point.
what a horrendous position to be in.
Both teams? Yes, I agree.
So this is I feel about this
That
game.
is the vibe of this game.
It
just
is, it is.
nothingness.
I feel about this game the same way I felt about the Oklahoma State game. Obviously pre game. Where it's like tough opponent, solid team, yada yada. But we could go in and play football. Will we do that?
But good football.
The question of the season is how do we play? It's never none of these games have said what's the other team going to do. It's always what are we going to go out and do. And so how do you make a pick when, like we said last week, we're watching a different team every week. We
Well,
go out
I
and we're a run
said-
team. We go out and we're a bad pass team. We go out and we do loop to loops and cartwheels.
That's
it's
what
so
it seems like.
it's so inconsistent. It's hard to pick. I'm going with the Mountaineers.
This guy.
Yeah.
West Virginia. Let's
Every
go.
week.
Shit.
What are you thinking back there, Max? You got any vibes? Better vibes than I'm having?
Yeah. Well, all of us, really.
Is this the Hope Bowl?
Bro.
We could call it the Wah Bowl.
The wall.
The wobble.
No, it'd be
The
Wava.
wah.
It'd be Wava.
How about
Wava.
we could just
What's
stick
the
the A in
VA?
the middle? It would be the wave bowl.
Oh,
Maybe
I like that.
the
A
Off
wave
Bowl.
file.
The wave file. That's
Maybe
what
maybe both teams will go out and they'll be awful and they'll call it the Off Bowl.
all I'm gonna
AWV
say-
bowl.
all I'm gonna
Not every
say-
game needs a name.
I do like the dot wave file, so I'm gonna say the wave bowl. But yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm just speaking today, guys. I'm being true and honest on this podcast, okay?
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Even though you disrespected me earlier, I forgive you. I forgive you.
What do your vibes say?
My vibes are all over the place, man. I've been all over the place the past week. I've been all over the place all the time. I love
All the time.
West Virginia. That's where I'm at right now, right here. West Virginia. But since I'm just gonna kind of like, as my mother says it, that I've inherited from my father, diarrhea of the mouth.
Okay.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
I've
heard that too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say some words. I think it's gonna be Arizona because one, I'm just gonna be straightforward. The communication on our team is very low. We need to speak more. We need to have more cohesion with our actions and our commands and our sort of plays. I am disappointed in the sense of the past 2 podcasts. I said, "Oh, I'd love to be sick of hearing Hail West and Fight Mountaineers during the game from the band."
We've heard it how many times in the past 2
We've
games?
heard it barely, and that's
4?
made me upset. 4?
I think 4.
4 in the
Okay.
past 2 games because we've
4.
scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
In each game.
That's
Okay,
terrible.
that just says it all.
And,
okay.
And 2 of those touchdowns are basically just garbage touchdowns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So guess what? We had two fake Hail Wests, and then we had 2 ones that are real, true and honest. I'm not saying all I'm saying, the leadership here is not true and honest. Okay?
Could be.
It could be. But right now, I'm not feeling too good because the last 2 games and the games in the past have been telling me things that are just like, oh, well, I love West Virginia, but there we go. Okay, so all I'm going to say, the vibes are giving me, I'm getting spicy vibes right now. I'm getting volatile vibes. So I'm just saying, I'm sorry, West Virginia. I love my school, but Arizona.
Can I just say, and I don't know if I said this last week or the week before at all, but credit to the media team for the football team
Oh, that's awesome.
because
They're so good.
the Iowa State game. I mean, we talked about this last week, but it was packed. The atmosphere was incredible. Last weekend with Kansas State, it was still a really full stadium, and we walked in there and we were like, "Man, I am
Shocked.
pleasantly surprised that there's so many people here." Obviously, at the end of that game, like we already said, not nearly as many people as you would hope to see at a D1 college football game. But credit to the media team; they keep the hype alive most of the time, and I guess we'll see as the week goes on what stuff comes out to get people
I mean,
back into the swing of it.
that's not just the media team. That's the athletic department in general.
Well,
Like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
the,
It's like
the lights,
all the stuff coming out, and I'm not talking just at the game, but like all the stuff on social media. Like people are coming to these games,
Yeah,
and with
Well,
all the hate
maybe.
that you see going around on the internet,
we don't know now.
People love the football team, and they bring a lot of hope to something that feels hopeless at times. So
I think we all bring a lot of fun, if you know what I mean.
Mountaineer football is about fun.
And good weather.
and game time weather in Tucson will be 75 degrees.
Great weather.
So we're not going and boiling like some teams have.
He picked his Utah game, and he knew it because they were going to boil.
Dude, I looked up the weather.
And so Matt is going to be right this week. We're going
Oh,
to get a win.
I would love it.
And Neil Brown is
Neil
going
Brown
to keep
would
his
love it.
job, and it's going to be sad because then we're going to lose.
It's not
to,
going to
like,
be sad. We're going to
Cincinnati or
celebrate.
something.
We're going to celebrate this win.
Last question before we end the episode.
I want to talk about something too, but you go first.
Okay. We are, of course, the last 3 on a list that we don't want to be on, which is it Power 4?
Yeah,
It's Power
I know what
4.
you're talking about.
There are 3 now, since Vanderbilt is ranked now. There are 3 teams that have not been ranked in the AP poll once since 2019. Those 3 teams are Rutgers, Texas Tech, and West Virginia.
What a squad.
And if not for a failure of a game against Wisconsin and Baylor last week for Tech, we would likely be the last person on that list.
Yeah, and
Figure it out, Neil
at
Brown.
a certain point, Rutgers was 4-0 to start their season. It's just a bad list to be on. But I wanted
On
to
a lot
bring that
of
up just to give you the actual state of where the program is.
That is the vibe for the program.
I heard Coos say that this is the worst stretch of Mountaineer football since the 60s.
It is.
And we are alive and thriving.
And it's
for it.
nearly worse than that. If he loses these next couple games, I believe it'll be considered a worse stretch.
Yeah, it's
We're
bad.
just over halfway through the season, so we have a lot of
Hopefully
lot
we
of
can
ground
turn
to
it
cover.
around. But yeah. All right, go ahead and talk.
So
about
what
you
I
wanna
want to
talk
talk, we brought it up earlier about how BYU should be ranked in the top 25 or top 10. I don't want to talk about the whole thing because we did a segment like that last week, but and I'll put it up on the screen. But where do you guys think that BYU should fall in here? And I'll tell you mine because I think this whole thing is wrong.
Well, let me do mine because I think you'll agree a little bit. I think the top 6 are good.
I disagree.
Oh, hold on. I'm looking at it. So, like we've talked about this before, I think Oregon obviously gets the top spot.
Yes.
Penn State being undefeated, I think they should have number 2. Miami is undefeated. I think they're so low because they've barely won some of the games that they've won, and it's against unranked teams. So I don't know if you could move them up. I think Texas being at number 5 makes sense because they've lost to Georgia. But again, the top 5, 6, 7 teams, the only people they should lose to still be up at the top is someone else at the top. So I think the top 5, 6 I can agree with. Again, Miami, I can see why they're down so low, so to speak. I think Tennessee's in a good spot. Honestly, I put Iowa State number 8, and then maybe LSU, Clemson, BYU.
So
So you would have BYU below Clemson?
bad juju.
I don't know. I think they'd be right up in there.
Here,
Clemson lost to Georgia, correct?
correct, and they've won out since, but haven't really played quality opponents.
I will say Georgia's not my number 2. I got Penn State number 2, Ohio State number 3, Georgia number 4, Texas 5, Miami 6.
Yeah, I can.
That's
get with
where
that.
I stand there.
So, dude, I'm about to play all mine with my top 10. Oregon is the clear number 1. They'd prove that when they beat Ohio State.
Mhm.
Penn State should be number 2, and Miami should be number 3. You prove your
Miami
worth.
number 3 is.
You prove your worth by
tough.
winning, okay? I don't care who says otherwise. Georgia is too high. They lost to Alabama, and that loss keeps getting worse and worse because Alabama is now a 2-loss team to Vandy and Tennessee. Tennessee apparently has Alabama's number. So it should be Oregon, Penn State, Miami. Following that, it should be Georgia. I'm trying to wait. Georgia, Ohio State, Texas here. All one-loss teams. Obviously, Georgia above Texas. I think it's Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas.
It would have to be if you go based on the quality loss, because Ohio State lost to the number 1, Texas lost to where'd you put Georgia 4?
4.
So that would make the most sense.
Yeah, so Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas. After Texas, no one-loss team outside of that should be above Iowa State, BYU, or Indiana. And I put BYU, Iowa State, Indiana in 7, 8, and 9.
In that order.
In that
So
order.
you put BYU over Iowa State.
Yes.
I would.
BYU
I think it's
beat
fair.
the crap out of Kansas State, and so they deserve to be above Iowa State at this point. So that's my 7, 8, 9, and then in 10, probably Tennessee. You could argue some other teams. Like I'll be honest, I wouldn't be mad about putting Boise up at 10. Boise's only losses to the number 1 team in the country, and it was only by three losses. So I'm going to be crazy and say my top 10 is Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, BYU, Iowa State, Indiana, Boise State. Call me crazy, but that's who deserves the top
I don't
spots.
think that's crazy. I would move Miami down because of the way they've won their games, but I don't think they're out of the top 10.
If you win the game, you win the game. I don't care how close
So
it is.
what I would say to America, please let us know what your thoughts are. I think we do this top 25 segment again next week.
Yeah, I think we should have a small tier list.
Yeah, this one's kind of scuffed.
So
Like, why is Ole Miss still above Pitt? As much as we hate Pitt, Ole Miss is a 2-loss team. Why are they above Pitt? Who's undefeated?
SEC.
SEC bias. Alabama is a 2-loss team, and they're above Kansas State, Boise, Pitt, Illinois.
SEC.
That's wild. I don't care how good their historic record or how good they are historically. Blue blood program.
Yeah.
Put some respect on Boise's name. Number
All right.
10.
Yeah, again, like Matt said, go ahead and let us know what you think. What your top 25 list is. Where the Mountaineers fall in all 134 FBS teams. I would be interested to see where some of you guys be interested to see
Well,
where.
Kansas exists. 133rd.
But we got Arizona State winning majority. He
Arizona.
got West Virginia.
You said state. We're
Yes.
playing Arizona.
Now, what if we swapped opponents this week? I feel like that would help our morale.
I feel like Arizona State would do better than Arizona would.
Yeah, I think they would too. I
Yeah,
think we could get boat race in Arizona
would.
State.
Dude, Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Cam Scattaboo. All right. I think we're going to call it a show on that one.
Yep.
Very fun, unscripted episode.
It was fun.
I think y'all probably are going to have a good listen to this one. So,
Yeah, let us know how you feel about that.
Yeah.
I had a good time, definitely. So
yep, please like, comment, subscribe on the video. Go ahead and give our Instagram and Facebook a follow and a like. Also, we just created a Twitter account. On Twitter, we are at Cold Country Show. But on everything else, we are Cold Country Pod. So
We're trying to work on in-game tweeting. It will be better during Arizona because we won't be at that game. But when we're in Milan Pushkar, it's kind of hard to tweet.
yeah, definitely. Service is wonky.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna call it an episode there. So from Tyler, from Matt, from Max, from me. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, America.
Thanks for watching, guys.